Hello, friends. It is my joy to join you. My name is Arlene Pellicane, co-author of Screen Kids and Grandparenting Screen Kids with Dr. Gary Chapman. And as grandparents, you're probably thinking, oh, thank God for this phone. Ever since my teenage granddaughter got this phone, she is just so delightful and so happy and so full of life. Or, oh, thank God for the iPad. What did we ever do on our visits before the iPad? I mean, my grandson is just the perfect little boy. No, my friends, this is not what you're thinking. You're thinking this iPad has destroyed our quality time. Tui, I wish I could throw it over my shoulder, but I probably should drop it gently. We are going to talk about screens and our grandkids and the things we are wondering. How can we get our grandkids off the screens when we are together? Why won't they talk to us anymore? How do we lure them into other activities in a successful way? So, those are the things we're going to talk about. Now, not all device time is equal. So, I like to call this digital vegetables and digital candy. If you have a grandchild who lives far away and they're FaceTiming you on the phone, that is a digital vegetable. That's something really healthy for you. The American Academy of Pediatrics is totally fine with a baby, a 1 year old, a 14-month-old, a 15-month-old FaceTiming on a phone with a grandma or grandpa because that is synchronous in real time. You are responding to the baby is responding to you. The baby is going to recognize you when they see you in real life. Like, it's a beautiful thing. So that is a digital vegetable. And if you're afraid, oh, am I using too much tech if I'm calling my grandchild or I'm FaceTiming my grandchild? No, that is a very healthy use of technology. But most of the time, our grandkids are using addictive technologies, things like YouTube, social media, video games. These are the platforms that once your child gets sucked into it, they have a really hard time getting out. Why is that? Let me just give you a glimpse of this. You'll hear more about it in the book Screen Kids, but just so you can understand it, and with your older kids and even with the younger kids, you can explain to them and talk to them about, hey, are you doing a digital vegetable? Are you having a little digital candy right now? And it's just like real life nutrition. And I think it helps kids understand. So screens are so addictive because they are endless, bottomless. Remember the time when, in the era of television, your favorite show came on once a week and you watched your favorite show? And then you left the television and you were done. Well, today, that's not how it works. Favorite shows line up what? In your pocket. So you don't even have to go to a certain room to watch your favorite show. You have your favorite show with you. And then after your favorite show's over, you can watch, wow, another episode and then another episode. And then you can find another favorite show. So social media, YouTube, news feeds, all those things, you can scroll all day long and it will never end. And that is on purpose so that your grandchild can't stop because something tempting is always coming. So it's bottomless. So show that to your child. Say to your child, look, let grandma get on your social media and let's see when grandma will stop. And you're going to sit there forever. Wow, it never stops. And show them that that was made to be bottomless like that, to keep their attention so that they would just use their phone and not go do other things. So how can you engage your grandchild, get their faces away from the screen and looking at grandma and grandpa? And it may be sometimes as simple as cupping your grandchild's face. It probably works when they're younger better than when they're older, but even your teenager, getting that face and turning it to your face, making your grandchild lock eyes with you so they understand eye contact, and just simply saying, grandchild, I love you. I care about you. I'm so glad you're here. And that's it. Give them the training of looking at you, and maybe that even physically means cupping their face in your hands and looking at them. Instead of begging them, here they are, they're sitting in your living room and they are sitting there on their iPad and you're just wanting to think like, how can I, don't you want to paint? Wouldn't you like to read a book? Do you want to go to Grammy with the store? And they always say what? No, no, no thanks, Gramps. No thanks, Papa, right? So instead of asking them or telling them to do an activity, why don't you just like show them? So for instance, your grandchild is coming over. So you put a cookie sheet in the kitchen and some flour and some sugar, and it's just larger than life there on the countertop, and you don't say a thing. And then they come in the room and you just start kind of whipping stuff up. They're probably going to say, "Grandma, Grandpa, what are you doing?" Right? And "Oh, I'm baking cookies. Do you want to help?" "Sure." And they start, right? So instead of inviting them, asking them, begging them, kind of be in the middle of something, let them watch you, be curious about it, and join you. So cooking is a great thing to do because kids love to eat. So, if you've got cookies going, they'll probably join you. You might put some photo albums on the table before they come. And so they come in and they say, "Grandma, Grandpa, what's this?" And then you show them, "This is a picture of your mom or your dad." I mean, they'll think that's really funny. So have things kind of ready. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It's not like you have to build a museum in your home or anything, but just a few items to invite them. Maybe it's going to be a puzzle on the table. Maybe you have a pet and you're going to have the comb out and you're going to start combing the dog, when your grandchild comes in and your grandchild will say, "Hey, can I help you comb the dog?" "Oh, yeah, grab a comb. Let's do this." So let them join you in activities and kind of have a few activities in mind before they come. It's as simple as putting a puzzle on the table, some cookies, things like that. Maybe you play an instrument and maybe you haven't pulled out that instrument for a really long time. Well, it's time to pull out that flute or that trumpet or that keyboard or whatever, and you start practicing. Maybe you haven't done that in 10 years. Believe me, you start practicing an instrument, your grandchild will wonder what's going on. My co-author of Screen Kids and Grandparenting Screen Kids, you know him from the Five Love Languages, Dr. Gary Chapman. He is a grandpa, and he would always say before he got a air hockey table, so he put a big air hockey table in his home expressly for the purpose so when his grandkids came over, they could do their tournaments. So you might have a ping pong table, or, you might have some kind of net, a badminton net that you put in the backyard when your grandkids come over. Whatever it is, you have this little activity that you put out. A cornhole. I don't know if that's a thing in Australia, but it's like two boards and you put them out and they have a little hole in them and you throw bean bags in them. That's something very, relatively inexpensive. That's easy. I know I like to play that, and my parents like to play that with my kids. Their big thing is ping pong, so they have ping pong. So have like maybe an activity that they have, and then the other thing Dr. Chapman does is when he knows his grandkids are coming, he puts out a little card table and puts 4 chairs around it because it's grandma, grandpa, and 2 grandkids, and he'll put a game there or a deck of cards. So it's really easy to say, "Oh, let's go to the card table and let's start playing together." You can involve your grandkids in your work. Like maybe you need to do a garage sale, or maybe you need to declutter your house so when your grandkids come over, they can find you deep in all the junk of your house, and they can, "What are you doing, grandma and grandpa?" "Oh, I'm cleaning up." And they can help you. They can help put prices on things for the garage sale. So just think of ways that they could even help you with your chores and make it fun along the way. And then, of course, reading books. Having books, you could have your own library. You could be the grandma and the grandpa that takes them and gets books and has piles of books waiting for them, and you read together, and then they can present book reports, and when they present their book report, they can get a dinner prize or some kind of toy prize. Or you could have, you can buy inexpensive toys and set up a shop, and then when they read a book, a certain number of books, they can shop in your shop, or if they give a book report, etc. My husband James, when he had a birthday, other kids were getting toys, and he would get, so we were in our 50s to give you an idea of the era. So instead of toys, he got a dictionary one year, and another year he got a bookshelf to put his books in. So his parents wanted to instill in him a love of reading and learning, and he still has that love of reading and learning. So grandparents, you can be the ones. Maybe your kids are not reading as much as you'd like to your grandchildren. You can be that reader. You can do that on the phone with a grandchild. If you live far away, you could say, "Hey, Monday night is reading night with Grammy," and you can go through a book. "Hey, I'm going through this book with Grandpa," and you literally can go through the book, and what a special memory that will make for you to go through a book together on the phone. Of course, you can always do this in person as well. And what a beautiful memory to read with grandma and grandpa. So read, read, read. And then I get it. Technology, you need it because your grandkids have a lot more energy than you do. So use screens to your advantage. So when you do use the screen, make your grandkids watch things that you think are valuable, that you say, this was my favorite show. I love this show. And I don't know if you still have your DVD player or even a VHS player or a Blu-ray disc or whatever you have, or maybe you can get a used DVD player. The beautiful thing about DVDs is you know exactly what your grandchild is watching. It's your choice. You don't know like what they're wandering to watch if they're watching, Netflix or Disney or YouTube, but if you put in a DVD, you know exactly what they're watching and it has a start and an end. Unlike the screens that are addictive because they have no stopping points, the DVD ends. So I really encourage you when you do have the screen time, maybe a DVD, and it's exactly what you want them to watch. If you have younger kids, grandkids, Veggie Tales, things like that, that have biblical lessons, that's really good. My kids loved Boz the bear. So you can Google this, Boz, B-O-Z, the bear. And we had those DVDs, and it was this giant green bear, and he teaches you how to, love God and love other people. Like we loved Boz the Bear. So look for these kinds of shows. I grew up watching Little House on the Prairie. So, you can get the old stuff. A newer movie that is awesome, that is very Australian, is Unsung Hero, is the story of For King and Country, the band. Such a beautiful movie for your older, like your, you know, um, 12 years old and up, I think would really enjoy that movie. So find movies, Unsung Hero is that one. So find movies that you're interested in watching and make your grandkids watch with you what you want to watch and show them, instead of them watching all this nonsense, right? That you're like, this is crazy stuff. They are in your home. So while they're in your home, they can watch what you want them to watch. I have a Happy Home podcast where I interview people. You might want to suggest this to your kids. And I interview people about marriage and parenting. And I recently had Jill Garner on. She is a grandma. She does this Manners of the Heart program for elementary schools. When her grandsons visited her, like her one grandson is younger, like let's say 6 or something, and says, Gigi, can we play a video game? And the older grandson, gets right in front of the brother, puts his hands on his shoulder and says, we don't do that at Papa and Gigi's. Get over it. So you know what? When your grandkids come to your house, it can be a video game free zone. It can be an iPad free zone. It can be, and you just instill that in your grandkids so that the older grandkid will say to the younger grandkid, we don't do that at Nana and Papa's house. Get over it. Because even though it's hard at first, maybe to get those kids to do these other activities like we've been talking to, once they taste that chocolate chip cookie, once they go on errands with you and go shopping with you and get ice cream with you and read books that they love with you, once they get that, they will realize, I really like coming to Grandpa and Grandpa's house because it's different than just sitting at home on my screen. There's a doctor that says, the dumber the toy, the smarter the child. The dumber the toy, the smarter the child. If your child just has a little bear, guess what? They get to take the bear everywhere and talk to the bear and have adventures with the bear and feed the bear and throw and talk. You get it. But if they have a phone, guess what? The phone is real smart. It does everything. And all the kid is doing is just pressing the button, right? So we want really smart kids, smart about God, smart about life, smart about caring for others. So just think, when you give prezzies, give really like toys that are not electronic, so that your kids, your grandkids can be smarter, and that toy will be dumber. When they come to grandma and grandpa's house, this is the time they can get love and affection that they crave. In closing, they did a survey of 1,000 kids, and they asked, what's your parents' worst habit? All around the world, they asked. And 54% of kids said their parents' worst habit was checking their phones too often. And Brazil reported the greatest unhappiness, 87% of those kids saying, "My parent uses my phone too much." Kids are growing up in this age where we as adults, we're like this all the time. "Yeah? What? Okay, sure. Okay, yeah, sure," right? So the kids are feeling like, "Oh, I'm not very important because my parent is on the phone so much, and if the phone is so interesting, I better get one too." And when they're with you, when they're with grandma and grandpa, they can see, "Oh my goodness, I am important to grandma and grandpa. My grandma and grandpa, they love me." And that's a beautiful gift you can give. And believe me, if you have an 18-year-old and you think they're too old for this, they're not. They're the ones who may need it the most. So, grandma or grandpa, you are much more important than an iPad or a phone. Don't be fooled by your grandchild who seems like they cannot get off that device. They can be distracted, and you can be an amazing distraction. And don't give up having that screen free time with your grandchild. God bless you. It's been great being with you. Thank you so much for your time.